Hey everybody, a couple of viewers have asked me about my clouds and how I achieve some of the effect in a couple of my videos. So I thought I'd just do a real quick thing to show you, because what I do is I play with the humidity and temperature a little bit. Now you have to be very careful, because if you know about flying, you know that high humidity affects airplanes and you cannot fly very well or at all if the humidity is too high. And the reason being is because as the humidity goes up, air pressure goes down. So because the air pressure goes down, of course, you have fewer air molecules to be affected to push through the air mass as you're going through. Fewer molecules, well, it equals less lift. The other problem too is that engines don't like humidity. For instance, jet engines are built for cold, dry air. Humid air will burn out a jet engine really, really quick. So you got to be really careful as you change these. Also, the humidity affects the weight and balance of your aircraft. So now I'm not going to mess with my pressure here, just the altitude. So what I usually do is you see I have a couple of customs already. I usually will start with scattered clouds, just because it seems to have the nicest view on a daytime flight. But oh, and the other thing too is you got to take into effect time of day, humidity, temperature, time of day. They all affect this. And a lot of times I try and set my clouds up to look really nice either at sunset or in the morning. Especially low level fog, like you can see now I have some in the distance back there, but watch as I change the humidity from low to high, and you can watch the way the light is refracted in the sky and what happens to your view. I'll look over towards the sun here. So you can see as I'm lowering it how things got a little bit more clear. And then as I bring it back up. Now, daytime, like I said, I don't mess with it too much during the day, because it's usually the two horizons, the difference between day and night and the difference between night and day. Those time frames are when you're usually going to have these types of atmospheric changes. That's just why you usually have a lot of dense fog in the morning and then again at night times, especially in the mountains. So now this is at sunset. And again, you got to be very careful, because if you put the humidity in the wrong place, your plane will not move. It will not get off the ground. And so a lot of times I'll play with it up in the air where I can actually listen to my engine, because you'll hear it as you change pressure, humidity, and temperature. Like if I raise the temperature, you'll hear the engine go way down. So once I get the cloud levels where I want them in the time, then I mix the height and stuff a little bit, and the scatter too, especially with the fog. The sky, I don't play with the scatter as much as I do the coverage, but on the ground, I like to play with the scatter and the density. I think fog, to me, normally should be a little less dense than the clouds, but you can see if I turn it way up, and it's hard to turn and look, I should drag the window over to the pop-up over to the window I'm looking out. But you can kind of see it, and they don't look as real to me if you make them too dense and too thick. I mean, to me, what I've seen of fog is not usually like that. Not in the mountains and the hills. It's usually, because it's sunk down in the valley, it's not leaking over like water into the next valley per se. So then I get it set like this, and then I will change my middle level. The top level, I don't mess with that too much as far as the clouds go. But again, you can see pressure and humidity. If I bring the humidity way up and look towards the sun, and you can see what it looks like with that glow. Because I'm playing with the lighting, my tracking is actually getting messed up. But now I'll go again with the humidity. Now, right now it's on like 7, which is actually very high for the game. But you can see what it looks like in the sunset with that level of humidity and my clouds down there, my fog, my low level fog. Now if we put it way down, you'll see the atmosphere clears way up and you can actually start seeing further. And again, I will play with this mostly at sunset and sunrise. During the day, I really don't expect to see low-lying fog very many places during the day. Now you can see this is actually a nice setting for humidity right here because it's very crystal clear in the distance. The fog looks like a very nice level, and that's down at 1. But I would bring it up a little bit because I think there would be a little, okay, well actually not this much, but this is maximum. And just so you can see now, you can't see as far. There's much more power to the sun's light. You can see over there, it looks very nice on that side. But again, your plane is not going to fly if you put your humidity up there. I think somewhere usually between 2 and 6, depending on where I'm flying, time of day, time of year. I'd say 2 to 6 is usually the range of as far as I'll go. So this is kind of different time frames looking at the same clouds. Nighttime humidity changes your nighttime view quite a bit actually. Let me try and get the right time here, but it creates a really nice kind of glow in the sky wherever there's clouds or the moon and the sunlight. So I like changing the humidity for some nighttime flights as well. And it may not be super realistic, you know, in some areas if you put humidity way up, they may never have high humidity. But just again, be very careful with your plane because humidity changes air pressure. Now you don't have to change the air pressure, but it does change because you will hear your engine change as you go through some of these settings. And you can see it throughout the day here, the afternoon down into the evening. And again, my humidity is right about in a range where I would maybe keep it. This is like 3.6. And now we just fly through it. Now, it may surprise you that my clouds are on medium. That's where I normally keep them. Again, I might change some of these depending on where I fly. If I'm flying in an area that has very, very little scenery detail, well, then I can afford to crank up the clouds. But I find medium to be a good balance. And to me, they look very, very nice on medium. I mean, you're seeing them. To me, they don't look like fluffy cotton things. Now, this is on ultra. And yes, there is more definition in the center of the clouds. You know, yeah, they look good. I don't know. I really can't say that they make it that much better to go from like medium to high to ultra. This is back on medium again. And yeah, it loses it a little bit. Not so much when you're flying though. When you're flying, they look to me perfectly fine. But this is the biggie. On ultra, my frames drop to 32. On medium, my frame rates is, for right now, this area, what I'm just showing you is 37 or 38. If I go back to ultra for the cloud, I'll go down to 32. So I could put the clouds on high. It'd probably be around 34 to 35 frames per second. But medium works for me. I'd rather leave the clouds on medium or sometimes even low and give that juice to the scenery itself. And I don't like giving up my frame rates now that I have them. So this is some mountains in China. So now I'm going to show you here over the ocean. We're going to go to Bora Bora, and I'll show you some of the effects over the ocean and the islands around the ocean, because that's another place that it's kind of nice to tweak the humidity. Mountains and oceans are humid areas. That's normal. They, at least in my experience, if you're flying over the ocean, there's an awful lot of water in the area. It tends to be humid. And the mountains as well, they trap a lot of that moisture. And they also tend to be very humid in my experience. But we're going to hop here to Bora Bora, and I'll let you take a look at, like I said, some of the atmospheric changes around water. So sunset again. I'm going to change it, I think, to sunrise, but right now we're at sunset. Give it a pause so I can play with it. And once you get one you like, you can save it. You can click on the button to the right and save it. So now this is my one that we just created, the ground fog that we just created in China. Now we're here in the islands, and here's humidity way up, and you can see, you know, and way up to me is 8, 9, or 10. This thing goes up to I think 20 or more. So, and I wouldn't even think about that. But yeah, that was on 6. So if we go back down, now this is all the way down to 1. So this is, you know, 0 humidity. So now I clicked on the ground level again, because now that we're over the ocean, I want to kind of change the way, whoops, okay, that might be a little overkill. But you know, I want an ocean fog now. It looks a little bit different. It's going to be flatter. It's going to be more widespread. So here I might have to change the scatter a little bit more, but you can see. But then you lose the ocean as well. But let's go sunrise here. Sunrise in the ocean with a little bit of fog. And we get a foghorn going here, and you can see. Oh wait a minute, I forgot. I wanted to change the humidity back. I had it down on 1, which is not where I want to leave it. I mean, you could. You have a nice clear flight. I mean, if you leave it down 1, you're going to have a really, really clear view of the distance. But I want some of that morning haze. So, and I got to get rid of the cat. I don't fly with cats. Sorry, nothing personal, Maddie, whatever your name is, but we got dogs here. Okay, so that's how I achieve some of the clouds. I play with the humidity and the temperature a little bit. But again, be careful. Planes do not fly in high humidity, especially jets. Jets are not meant for humid air. They're meant for cold, dry air up in the atmosphere. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope it helps you achieve some more beauty on your flights in this fantastic simulator that we have. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the skies.